Hello and welcome to a very special video. Today we're going to talk about something that I kind of got a feeling from when I was reading through some of these articles about the new edition of Horus Heresy. And the one I was reading in particular was Missions and Objectives, Rules in the Age of Darkness. Now this dealt with missions, how they were dealing with them, the fact that they're going from 6 to 5 rounds to 4. They're talking about how victory points work and all that. And holy cow, one of the things that I'd picked immediately up on was that it really does feel like a sliding scale to everything. Instead of just a set number that you would be able to memorize after a few games and reliably go, well, this is what that is. It's now a eternal amount of freaking options and special rules that all have blank X. Now, the one we're going to put up in particular is line X. Now, what it does is it changes the amount of victory points you have with certain units, air quote units with line. Let's say line 3 would get 3 victory points for that unit taking control of an objective, or having control of an objective. You know what I mean. But the thing I couldn't help but notice was it really reminded me of when 10th edition was ramping up and they had OC, or objective control. Now, they're not exactly the same rule, but they have kind of a similar ring to them in regards. Now, objective control effectively is a matter of how much it counts towards controlling that objective. It is different, but the thing I noticed about it was really it does have an interesting kind of similarity in that they both involve how objectives are handled, but this is instead being about points. And the thing I thought was, wow, that's really interesting. Are they using this new edition of Horus Heresy as a test bed for something coming for 40K? Now, I'd have no idea, but between the new stat lines, the shorter amount of rounds in a game, the way damage is being kind of altered, effectively how so many things are being changed and altered in different ways, I wonder if they are using Horus Heresy to test things for 40K. As we've known, there's a lot of people who are very, very disappointed with 40K and the direction it's gone. And even people who like the stuff that was added into it have, let's just say, not been exactly happy with 10th edition. But I thought it was an odd thing, and I don't know if anyone else had kind of thought that when they saw some of these newer rules. But to that concern, the other concern I had was, of course, it's a really basic one. I always think about when people are playing the game. And the question I had was, if there are all of these things, these different rules that you can come into contact, from line to expendable to vanguard, and they all have a different value, and they all apply for different reasons in different ways. For example, Vanguard being, let's say you had Vanguard 2, and if a Terminator unit or an Assault Marine unit attack and take over an objective point, that's what they would get for that round's action, at least is how I understand it. So they would get 2 points instead of 1, but if they held it, they'd only get 1 victory point. So it's trying to represent in a weird way how these units would run. I don't think that's needed, but there's a thing that always just kind of bothered me in this is just we're adding all of these little niggling little dials and sliding scales and things that can alter up things that really, I think, are going to come into play and annoy the hell out of players and folks who are just playing the game. Instead of having one number, now they're going to have to go, wait a minute, what was that unit? It had blank X, oh, but it only gets blank X when it does X, Y, or Z. Okay, and that victory was for this, and it gives you points for that. I think all of the sliding scales, the extra rules being added, all of these extra layers are not going to help the game be a more rich experience. I think they're just going to add to the frustration people feel. Instead of refining things, we're just burying it under more and more muck, and I am quite concerned about that. But I don't want to talk off your head too much. Has anyone else had this feeling? Do you think they're just adding too many variables to the game? I'd like to know what you guys think, because honestly, I have a lot of concerns with this new edition, and I just hate to see people turn away from the game, but honestly, I could understand why people stay with second or first edition, or go to the Circle edition. So you let me know. Until then, bye-bye.